Come on up. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Counsel, please stipulate to the return of our jurors before beginning.
State stipulates, Your Honor.
Thank you.
That stipulates, Your Honor.
All right, Attorney Messina, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. McKenzie, welcome back. I believe we left off where you were talking about at the end of the party at the Lifers house. At some point, you got into Jack Snyder's car along with some other people. And what was your intention? What was the, where did you think you were going?
We were supposed to be going to, well, we did go to Trumbull High School.
When you got into Jack's car, did you have, what's wrong? Did you indicate to him that you wanted to go home?
Yes. At one point, I knew that he was driving me home.
So when you got into the car, you indicated Will Sinjwell was in that vehicle?
Yes.
Who else was in that vehicle?
Tyler Dilva, Lido, Jack Snyder, Keenan, Dimitri, Will, and maybe somebody else who was trying to catch a ride to Trumbull High School.
Was there about 7 of you in there, is it fair to say?
Yes.
And when you got into the vehicle, did Jack take you home at that point?
No.
And where did you go?
A bunch of people from the party were meeting up at Trumbull High School, kind of relocating to hang out and maybe continue the party a little bit.
Were you familiar with Trumbull High School?
I've been there before. I guess we were just a bunch of people were going to park their cars there in the parking lot.
And did Jack indeed go to Trumbull High School?
Yes.
When you arrived at Trumbull High School, where did Jack park?
I don't recall. In the same parking lot as all the other cars that were headed over from Maddie's house.
When you arrived there, did you indeed see other vehicles there?
Yes.
And do you remember interacting with anyone else, either from the party or otherwise?
When we got there, I was a captain on the cheerleading team, and I saw the freshman girls. They were surrounding a car, so I went over there and I hung out with them.
Were they at the Lifers party as well?
No.
So you went over and spoke to some of the freshman girls from the cheer team.
Yes.
Do you recall what the defendant and Jack Snyder and Tyler Dilva were doing?
No.
Do you recall what Keenan or Demetrios or Will Sinjwell were doing?
No.
How long would you say you stayed at in the parking lot of Trumbull High School?
Maybe 25 minutes.
And do you recall, just going back, how long it took to get to Trumbull High School from the party at Lazy Brook?
Probably around 10 minutes.
And on the car ride to Trumbull High School, what was the vibe in the car, if you can recall?
The vibe was light to me. Music was playing, I think. That's about it.
Was any drinking going on in the car ride to Trumbull High School?
Probably.
Do you recall if you were drinking at all?
No.
Do you recall if the defendant was drinking?
No.
Do you recall if Jack or Tyler were drinking?
I think they were drunk, but I don't recall if they continued drinking at that point.
And how long would you say you stayed at Trumbull High School for?
About 25 minutes, maybe, or 30.
And at some point, did you leave the parking lot at Trumbull High School?
Yes.
Who got back into Withdrawn? And did you get back into Jack's vehicle?
Yes.
Who else got back into Jack's vehicle to leave Trumbull High School?
The same kids as before. Should I go through them?
Nope, that's okay. Now, when you got back into Jack's car, where were you sitting at that point?
I was, I think, still sitting in the second row.
Were you on Lito's lap?
I don't recall.
Do you recall who was sitting in the passenger seat?
Tyler DeSilva.
And the individual sitting next to you in the back row, do you recall who those individuals were?
I can recall Will Singewald. I'm not sure about the other boys where they were sitting exactly.
Do you recall if anyone was in the trunk of the vehicle?
Maybe one kid.
you know?
I don't know which one.
Now, you got back in the vehicle. At that point, where did you think you were going?
Home.
And why did you think that?
If you live in Shelton, we were about to pass the reservoir, which was towards my house.
Did you indicate to Jack that you wanted to go home at that point?
Yes.
Now, at some point, withdrawn. Did Jack take you home at that moment?
No.
At some point while you were in the vehicle, were you made aware that some boys in the car were part of a texting chain or a texting conversation?
It was mentioned. I didn't know who was in it or what was going on in it.
Were you part of that texting chain?
No.
And how did you become aware that there was a texting chain going on?
It must have been mentioned at one point in the car. I think I just noticed that we had changed route. I think someone must have sent a text message in that group chat, and that's how I was aware.
Now, what was the atmosphere and the vibe in the car at this point? Once the texting chain had developed and you indicated that you were made aware of it, describe what the vibe was in the car.
I definitely could tell that the vibe had changed. I was close to being home, and then it seemed like in an instant the boys were set on going to Tyler Rich's house.
Now, how did you become aware? Withdrawn. Are you familiar with Tyler Rich?
Yes.
And how do you know Tyler Rich?
I was good friends with him growing up. He was in my friend group, and I've been to his house a ton of times.
Did you attend schools with Tyler Rich?
Yes.
Other than high school?
Yes.
And you said you just indicated you've been to his house a ton of times?
To a bunch of his parties and hangouts.
Now, how did you become aware that you were going to Tyler Rich's house?
I just remember being close to my home, and I remember then taking a left towards Isinglass rather than going straight back. So I knew that we had changed direction.
So is it fair to say at some point you thought you were going home, you thought you were being dropped off at home? That did not occur because did you actually pass your street?
No.
But the car diverted to another direction.
Yes, and the two boys in the front had made it known that they were now going to Tyler's house.
Okay. So without obviously going into what they said, you became aware that that's where you were going.
Yes.
Do you recall hearing anything from Lido at that point regarding going to Tyler Rich's house or going to fight anyone, anything to that effect?
I don't remember him saying anything, but I had objected multiple times to us going, and he didn't stand up for me or say anything in that regard. I didn't want to go to Tyler Rich's house.
Why didn't you want to go to Tyler Rich's house, McKenzie?
Because I grew up in Shelton, and a bunch of people who I was friends with I knew would probably be at that party. So it seemed as if there was some type of confrontation going on between them, and I knew I didn't want to be a part of it.
Do you recall the address of Tyler Rich's house offhand?
Laurel Glen, I'm not sure what number.
And was there anyone in particular in the vehicle that was pushing going to Tyler Rich's house more so than anyone else?
I would say that Jack Snyder and Tyler Dilva in the front were pushing it. Jack was one driving, and I had pleaded with him multiple times that I wanted to go home, and it seemed like he was adamant about going.
On the way to Tyler Rich's house, who, if anyone, did you have contact with on your phone?
As soon as I was made aware that they were now headed to Tyler Rich's house, I had texted my sister, and I had asked her to pick me up from Tyler Rich's house.
And why did you do that?
I knew I didn't want to be at Tyler Rich's house. I didn't want to be anywhere near his house. A lot of the people there were my friends, so I didn't want to get involved.
Based on the conversation you heard in the car, as well as just your overall gut feeling, did you know something bad was going to happen in going to that house?
I assumed it wasn't going to be friendly. I assumed it was going to be some type of confrontation.
Now, at some point, did you arrive at Tyler Rich's house?
Yes.
Now, McKenzie, if you can look, if I just may approach the witness, Your Honor.
Jack Snyder parked his vehicle once arriving at Tyler's house. If you can't, this exhibit, I can show you another exhibit.
Assuming that this is his driveway, I think we were parked facing that way, right there.
So the message is talking about the witnesses using a pointer to point to the bottom half of State 52 and directed her pointer over to the right-hand side of the exhibit as well.
All right, that'll be reflected on the record, thank you.
McKenzie, I am going to show you another exhibit. This is exhibit 49. You can look on your screen there. So this is a more pulled back picture of State 52. If you can describe in State 49 where Jack Snyder pulled up to Tyler Rich's house on that day. If you could just use your words to describe it. You can't point on the screen, it doesn't show up on them.
I remember he had pulled up probably near the driveway.
Okay, so I'm going to use this pen here. You're indicating that Jack Snyder pulled his vehicle up around this area?
Yes.
Okay. Was it directly in front of the driveway, or was it more to the right-hand side? Was it back more? And you can stop me with my pen.
I would say closer to the driveway.
So maybe around this area?
Yes.
Okay. Let the record reflect, Your Honor, that the state is pointing to the middle to bottom portion of the exhibit towards the driveway of State 49.
Court will reflect the information on the record, thank you.
Now, when you arrived, McKenzie, can you explain to the members of the jury what you saw initially? And what I mean by that is, did you seek anyone out on the road? Did you see anyone out on the front lawn of 43 Lower Glen? What did you observe?
Before we had pulled up to the house, I had climbed over the back seat and hidden in the trunk. I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to be there. So I don't remember seeing who or anyone in the crowd. I would say I maybe remember one or two people coming up towards the back, and someone even said hi to me.
When you got into the trunk of Jack's car, who, if anyone, was in the trunk with you?
Either Keenan or Dimitri. I'm not sure which one.
Back of the trunk, was there windows in the trunk of the vehicle?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you recall sitting on items in the back of the trunk? Were there other items in the trunk that you were sitting on because there wasn't enough room?
I think there was probably some items around that I just was sitting over.
Were you able to see out the back of the trunk area? Meaning, was there a window out the back of the trunk?
I don't remember looking out the back of the trunk, so.
So you indicated you were able to see a few people. When Jack pulled up, did you initially see anyone, or was there a moment in time that passed before people started coming out of the house and approaching the car?
It seems like there had been a group that formed outside, maybe. The one or two people that I saw was because I think they came up to the back window in the second row and then looked back, and I was kind of in the trunk.
Now, do you know if anyone from your vehicle alerted on the texting chat that you had arrived?
I have no idea.
Now, when you saw these one or two individuals that you just indicated come up to the car, did you recognize them?
Yes.
And who did you recognize them as?
I remember, at the least, I remember Faison coming up to me.
Did you have interaction with Faison?
Yes, it seemed friendly.
Okay. And were any windows rolled down in the Honda Pilot that you were in?
The driver one and the one that Faison came in and said hi to me.
The one that Faison came in to say hi to you, was that the one that Lito was sitting closest to, or either Keenan or Will that you indicated were sitting closer to?
I'm not sure.
When he came over to you, and without telling anyone what he said, were you able to hear him through the open window?
When he acknowledged me, I heard him, yeah.
And when he acknowledged you, did you respond back to him?
Yeah.
And what did you say?
I think I just said hi back.
How do you know Faison?
I didn't know him too well, but he went to my schools, so I knew him through, middle school and maybe intermediate school.
Do you know his last name?
No.
Now, if you can explain to the members of the jury from what you can remember, did any additional people come out of Tyler Rich's house and approach the vehicle?
It seemed like at one point, somebody from the outside had approached the driver's seat window, so Jack Snyder, and it seemed like there was maybe some type of confrontation going on there.
When you say that, what did you hear, what did you observe as far as you terming it a confrontation?
I didn't hear anything specific that stood out. It just seemed that maybe they were arguing back and forth through the window.
Withdrawn. At some point, no, withdrawn. Did you see anyone throwing anything at the vehicle that you were in? Was anything thrown from the vehicle that you were in back out onto the lawn or at individuals from Tyler Rich's house? Do you remember any of that?
I don't remember seeing anyone outside throwing anything, just because I was kind of hidden a little bit, but I do remember hearing a bunch of noises coming, maybe banging on the car or something like that.
Do you recall the car being rocked at all? Do you recall anyone standing on the bumper of the car and moving the car at all?
I don't recall.
When you were in the trunk, McKenzie, you just indicated that you were kind of hiding. Were you almost laying down in the back of the trunk?
I think so, yeah.
Did you hear Lito saying anything to anyone during that interaction at all?
No.
Do you recall how long that interaction occurred between the kids from Tyler Rich's house and the individuals in your vehicle?
No more than a couple minutes.
And what, if anything, happened next that you can recall?
I remember it seemed like things were being thrown at the car, so there was a little chaos there, and then we just immediately started driving down the street.
Do you remember anyone telling Jack to drive off?
No.
Now, when you say went down the street, I'm going to direct your attention to states. May I first witness, Your Honor? State 1, McKenzie, you can use that pointer again. So this is the area, Laurel Glen, Farmhouse Lane, as well as Adams Drive. This little red dot here in point state 1 is 43 Laurel Glen. Can you indicate to members of the jury where you indicate Jack Snyder drove his car down?
We were parked right here, and he drove this way.
So down Laurel Glen Drive, towards Farmhouse Lane. Where your pointer is now, are you indicating where at some point did Jack Snyder stop the vehicle down Laurel Glen Drive?
So he had originally stopped it right here.
Okay. Did he only go down Laurel Glen Drive once and stop, or did he drive back and forth several times?
I don't remember him driving that.
So it's your recollection that he drove down once and stopped on Laurel Glen?
Yes.
Your Honor, let the record reflect that you witnessed point to the area on Laurel Glen Drive, say three-fourths down the street on Laurel Glen, right before 36 or 5.
All right, that'll be reflected on the record. Thank you.
Now, McKenzie, you had indicated just now that Jack had stopped his vehicle about three-fourths down the road on Laurel Glen Drive. Why did he stop his vehicle? Do you recall saying something to him to make him stop his vehicle? To your knowledge, why did he stop his vehicle?
I believe me, at least, wanted to get out of the vehicle.
Okay. Did you tell him to stop his vehicle?
I'm not sure. I must have said something yeah.
Did you tell him you wanted to get out? What was your demeanor at that point? Were you crying? Were you yelling? Were you screaming? Explain to the members of the jury.
I was very upset that we had gone there in the first place. I guess I was angry that we were there.
Do you recall crying at all?
No.
Who were you angry with?
Mainly, I was angry that Lito hadn't stood up and said, let's not go there, because I was objecting a lot in the car. And then I was also angry with Jack Snyder and Tyler because they also knew that I didn't want to go.
You just wanted to go home?
Yes.
Now, you indicated earlier to members of the jury you were in the trunk of the vehicle. At some point, did you get out of Jack Snyder's car?
Yes.
And how did you describe how you got out? Did you pop open the trunk? Did you jump over seats? How did you get out of the vehicle?
When the car came to a stop, I crawled over the seat and I got out of the side door, and I immediately walked to the end of the road and sat on the curb.
At some point, did other people also get out of the vehicle?
I think I think they did.
Do you know who got out?
I'm not sure exactly who at that point in time got out.
I'm going to be showing you State's Exhibit, State's 44. You can view this on the screen you have in front of you. I'm just going to play this through, okay? McKenzie, did you see yourself getting out of that vehicle?
Yes.
Okay, and what, can you indicate to the members of the jury what you saw yourself doing in State's 44?
I got out of the car and my arms were crossed, I think because I was mad, and I just walked to the end of the street and sat down. I was facing the opposite way.
Can I have that pointer, McKenzie? McKenzie, in pointing to State's 44, I'm going to direct your attention. You can look on this big screen here. Pointing here, is that you sitting on the curb there?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall at this point if anyone else in State's 44 in this vehicle here, this is Jack Snyder's vehicle, if anyone else got out at that point?
At that moment, I was alone at the end of the road, so maybe they got out.
Now, from your recollection that night, you don't recall anyone else getting out because you just indicated you were sitting on the curb. What were you doing when you were sitting on the curb? Demonstrate to members of the jury what you were doing physically.
I had gotten to the curb and I called my sister Madison, and I was just making sure that she was on her way to pick me up and just asking her her ETA.
Were you looking around? Did you have your head in your hand, your head in your hands? Were you slumped over at all? Explain to members of the jury what you were doing.
Yeah, I was slumped over, kind of just on my phone in a little bubble, calling her, texting her.
I'm going to direct your attention again to State's 44. If you can look at the rest of the video, Mackenzie. Mackenzie, pointing to State's 44, you see these two individuals here? I don't know if you can see. So this individual here as well as this individual here, do you know who those two individuals are that just got out of the vehicle?
Can you replay it one more time, please?
Sure. Referring to State's 44, those two individuals that just got out of the vehicle, you're walking down towards the curb, you sit down. Do you know who those two individuals are?
I believe the one coming out of the driver's seat is Tyler Dilva, and the other one, maybe Lito.
Now, Mackenzie, you see here in State's 44 that you're sitting on the curb here, right? At some point, do you leave that curb area? Do you recall if you left that curb area and went to a different curb or a different area of the street?
I don't recall. I remember being on a curb.
Is it possible you left that curb area and went somewhere else?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for
I'll withdraw
speculation.
it. Now, Mackenzie, at some point when you were sitting in that curb area or a different curb area, did you see anyone from Shelton High School approach?
I didn't see anyone come up and approach me.
And when I say Shelton High School, I mean the individuals from 43 Laurel Glen from Tyler's party. Do you recall anyone approaching you or approaching that area?
No, not me. I did recall maybe some noise coming from behind me. I hadn't looked over, and I was on my phone, so I don't remember who.
So you had indicated earlier before we played States 44 that you were on your phone and you were contacting who again?
My sister.
And what were you saying to your sister at that point?
I had already texted her before we even arrived to Tyler's house. As soon as the direction changed, I had texted her saying that I was going to need a ride from Tyler's house. So when I had called her, when I got out of the car, I was just making sure that she was on her way there.
Now, McKenzie, you saw yourself get out of Jack's vehicle. At some point, either simultaneously to when you were getting out of the vehicle or prior to, did you hear anything about a knife being talked about?
I don't remember in the car. I don't think that was the case. I remember at one point, maybe when I was getting out and leaving the area, I heard someone say something about a knife.
Do you know who that was?
I'm not sure.
And did it alarm you when you heard this information about a knife?
I didn't really even, I overlooked it completely. I just didn't think anything of it. I didn't think anything would have happened with a knife.
So you heard talk of a knife. You don't know if it was the defendant who said it or anyone else in the vehicle?
Yes.
Do you know how close you were to that conversation you heard about a knife? Do you know if it was when you were getting out of the vehicle? Do you know it was when you were standing by the vehicle? Do you have any recollection of when you heard it?
I believe it was I think it was when I was walking away. I don't remember the conversation being had. I don't remember what they had been talking about.
At any point when you were sitting on that curb, did you see Lido?
At one point, the boys that were in the car had walked down to the end of the street where I was sitting. I had offered all of them rides home, and including Lido, I offered him a ride home. So I saw him at that moment.
So when you say all the boys, Lido walked down there, Jack Snyder walked down there. Oh, well, withdrawn. Did Jack Snyder walk down there as well?
I don't know.
Okay. Tyler DeSilva walked down there. Keenan Frasick walked down there. Will Sinjwal walked down there. And Demetrios Arfanis walked down there?
Yes.
And what did you offer them?
I told them that my sister would be there in a couple minutes, and anybody who wanted to leave could get into my car, and I would drive them home.
And you told all of them that? Every single person that I just indicated?
Yes, I told all of them. 3 of them accepted the offer. Will, Keenan, and Dimitri. They sat down on the curb with me, and then I also offered to the other 2 boys, and they were adamant about not coming with me.
So they did not want to go with you and your sister and leave the area?
Yes.
When you say adamant, how were they acting?
They seemed like they were getting hyped up a little bit. I felt like I was begging at one point for them to just not go back down there. My sister's going to be here in 2 minutes. Please come back with me.
Why were you begging them?
I could tell that there was 50 guys that are about they're having confrontation. It was scary. It was not a good scene, and I knew that nothing good could come out of it. So I was just kind of begging them to, leave the area. Let's go back home. Let me drop you guys off.
At some point, when you were sitting on the curb area, what was drawn? Did Will, Keenan, and Dimitri come and sit down with you and join you on the curb?
Yes.
When Tyler and Lido, as you indicated, denied or objected to going home with your sister, where do you recall them going?
I just remember I offered them the ride multiple times, and they declined, and it seemed like they had just disappeared. They ran off.
At some point, well, withdrawn. Was Jack's car still in the area at that point?
It may have been. I don't remember exactly where, but definitely somewhere down the road.
Do you have a recollection of Tyler and Lido getting back into Jack's car and going back towards Tyler Rich's house?
I just remember them leaving. I don't remember if they walked down there or drove their car down there.
When they left the area, who was left where you were?
It was me, Keenan, Dimitri, and Will.
When you were sitting there waiting for your sister to show up, did you hear anything at all from down the street near Tyler Rich's house?
I heard noise, but I had been hearing noise and, loud talking or shouting all night, so I just assumed that it was the same thing.
From your vantage point and sitting on the curb area down Laurel Glen, if you were to withdraw, did you look down Laurel Glen towards Tyler Rich's house? Did you see anything going on? Were you able to see anything from your vantage point?
I didn't see anything. I also wear glasses or contacts, so I just don't think we were really looking in that direction. Me, Keenan, Dimitri, and Will were maybe a little bit in conversation.
And at some point, did your sister come pick you up?
Yes.
And your sister's name?
Madison.
And when Madison came to pick you up, did anyone else get in the vehicle with you?
So she pulled up at the end of the road. I got into the passenger seat. Keenan and Dimitri got into the back, and we were waiting to see if Will needed to ride home. He was on the phone with his girlfriend, trying to get in contact with her to see if she would pick him up instead.
So Will did not enter your sister's car?
No, he was waiting near the passenger door next to me.
Did your sister wait before his girlfriend came to pick him up, or did you leave the area before that occurred?
She was waiting to see what he was going to do.
And indicate again where you got into your sister's car and where Keenan and Dimitri got into your sister's car?
I got into the passenger seat, and they got into the second row in the back of me.
McKenzie, I'm showing you Stage 44. This is a video taken. You can describe to members of the jury, well, indicate if you recognize your sister's car at all, and if you recognize or if you see Jack Snyder's car at all. I'm going to play it through once, okay?
I believe that's Jack Snyder's car passing from the one in the front, and then going up. Yeah.
And that car that just stopped right there, whose car is that?
It's my sister.
Is that when you and Dimitri and Keenan got into your sister's vehicle?
Yes.
Do you recall this happening?
Yeah, we had gotten into the vehicle. As I said, I was waiting to see if Will needed a ride home, and we were connecting to the Bluetooth.
Now, McKenzie, at some point, did anyone else get into your vehicle at that moment or that shortly after that moment?
Yes.
Okay. And, excuse me, who else got into that vehicle?
At one point, Lito maybe came from behind the car, and he kind of came up to the window, the passenger seat window, and he asked quickly to my sister, he said, "Hey, Maddie, can I get a ride home?"
Was that before or after Jack's car drove off as you see it?
I think after.
Now, he came up to your passenger side window or Madison's passenger side window?
To my window.
And he asked your sister through your window if he can get a ride home?
Yes.
When you were withdrawn, how was the lighting at that point? Were you able to observe Lito? Did you observe any injuries on him? Did he look like he had just been in a fight? If you can explain.
He quickly came up to the window, and I didn't observe anything. I didn't observe him looking like there was any marks or anything on him. And then he just quickly got into the back seat.
When he got into the back seat, did he sit directly behind you?
Yes.
And at some point, did your sister Madison drive off from out of the area to take the individuals in her car home and also bring you home with her?
Yes, we were facing away from Tyler's house, and we drove continued to drive that way.
So down Laurel Glen?
Yes.
Withdrawn. Well, down Laurel Glen towards Farmhouse, or did you turn around and go back towards Adams, towards Tyler Rich's house?
We did not go back towards his house. We continued going, I guess, towards Farmhouse. Yeah.
Now, on the car ride back to everyone's designated houses, explain or describe the atmosphere in the car. Was there music playing? Were people talking?
So we had the music playing pretty loudly. There was no talking in the back, or none that I heard. I didn't hear anyone talking in the back. I was already kind of in a bad mood, so I was just kind of sitting in the front.
When you say the music was playing loudly, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Was it so loud that you couldn't even hear your sister talk? Explain the loudness.
It was pretty loud, I would say. We normally play the music pretty loud in the car, and yeah.
Did you recall hearing Lido say anything in the car?
No.
Did you have any conversations with Lido?
No.
And why not?
I was very angry this night because I didn't want to go to Tyler Rich's house. Once again, I had a lot of friends that were there, so I just didn't want to get involved during the middle of it. So I think I was just very upset that we had been there, so there was no conversations really going on.
And who did your sister drop off first, if you can recall?
Keenan and Dimitri, they were staying together at one of their houses.
And then at some point after your sister dropped off Keenan and Dimitri, it was you and Lido and your sister left in the vehicle.
Yes.
And was there conversation, and withdrawn, where does Keenan and Dimitri live? Whoever's house you went to, do you recall where they live, what town?
I think Trumbull.
Now, going from Trumbull back to where Lido lived, do you recall what town Lido lives in?
Milford.
Going back from Trumbull back to Milford where Lido lived, was there conversation in the vehicle between you and him, your sister?
No.
It was silent.
Yes.
Do you recall how long it took your sister to go from Trumbull, from Keenan's house, to Lido's house?
I would say 15 minutes max.
And what happened, withdrawn, did your sister indeed get to Lido's house?
Yes.
And what happened when you got to Lido's house?
He then asked me if I could step outside with him.
Out of the car?
Yes.
And did you indeed step out of the car?
No.
And why not?
I didn't want to talk to him.
And when you refused to get out of the vehicle, what happened next?
He just left.
And your sister left?
Yes.
McKenzie, while you're in the car ride from Laurel Glen to drop off the kids in your car, did you receive any FaceTime calls or any Snapchat messages from friends of yours?
So on my way back home to my house, I got a text message from a group chat with girls that I went to high school with.
Now, without telling us what they said, just tell us the vibe of what it was.
It seems like someone had heard that there was a fight. So there was maybe rumors going around. Someone said, there was talk about a stabbing, that someone had been stabbed.
Were these friends of yours that were local, or were these friends of yours that were in upstate New York at the prom house, as you indicated earlier in your testimony?
They were at the prom house.
Prom house. These were girls that were in upstate New York that had heard about what had happened at 43 Laurel Glen.
Yes.
And did you receive any other messages from anyone else?
So initially, after that message, we had a little group FaceTime call, and I guess everybody was just confused. We didn't know what was going on. We didn't believe that anything had happened. We were like, there's no way that something like that could have happened. So I even was like, I just dropped him off. I don't believe that could have happened. What then started to make me nervous was I received a Snapchat from Rosie McGrath and Peyton Keeman. And when I went to go look to see what they had said, it seemed like there was some foul language, and that definitely made me, I was nervous. I didn't know what was going on, and I was confused why they were reaching out to me.
Did you respond to that Snapchat message?
No, I didn't open them.
Now, in addition to dropping Lido off, in the car ride home from Lido's house, so after you dropped Lido off, in the car ride home to Lido's house, did you engage in any text message conversations with him?
So when I received that phone call from my friends, as well as from Rosie and her friend, I immediately texted Lito and I asked him what was going on.
And why did you ask him that?
Because in the messages from my friends, they indicated that there was a rumor going around that he had been in a fight and that he had stabbed someone. And people were throwing around names to see like who had maybe been involved.
May I approach counsel, Your Honor? May I approach the witness, Your Honor? Oh, yes. May I approach the clerk, Your Honor? Sure. Thank you. McKenzie, may I approach the witness, Your Honor? McKenzie, I'm showing you what's been marked as states 97 and 101, right? So this is only this point. Right? You recognize that document, and there's several pages to that document, but do you recognize that?
Yes.
Okay, and what do you recognize that document to be?
These were text messages between me and Lito.
Now, do you know the defendant's number offhand as you sit here today?
No.
Okay, and at some point, did you have an opportunity when you started dating Lito to exchange phone numbers with him?
Yes.
And when you exchanged phone numbers with him, did you put a name, you got the phone number, did you put a name associated with that phone number?
Yes.
And what name did you associate his phone number with?
Lito.
And at times while you were when you were dating him, did you have opportunities to text message him, have phone conversations with him? And when you did you access this number under the name Lito in your phone?
Yes.
And these text messages you see here, when were those text messages produced?
After I had dropped him off on the way home to my house.
Now, in looking at states 97 through 101 in the text messages, is there a back and forth conversation between you and Lito at this time?
Yes.
I would ask if marked as a full exhibit, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor.
Court will accept into evidence as states full exhibits 97 through 101.
Now, McKenzie, I'm showing you what's now been marked as full exhibits 97 through 101. Well, actually, I'm showing you here what's been marked as exhibits 97 through 101. In looking at 97, you see that clearly on your screen? I know it's a little blurry.
Yes.
Now, when looking at 97, you see
It's a little blurry now.
what about now?
Yeah, that's good.
Autofocus. One moment. That works better.
Just zoom in.
see that on there?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the blue writing that you see there, whose handwriting, or withdrawn, whose text messaging is the blue?
That's mine.
And the white that you see there in States 97, whose is that?
Leo's.
Okay. Now, McKenzie, I'm going to ask that you read, I'm going to read your parts into the record and publish it, and you are going to read Lito's parts into the record, okay?
Okay.
So in States 97, you indicate, and you said you contacted Lito first?
Yes.
Okay. And you indicate, are you fucking serious? I hate you. Someone just called me and said you stabbed someone. You just ruined everything, Lito. Literally ruined everything for me. Answer the phone. IDK, what to do? Everyone is texting me. What does IDK mean?
I don't know.
And if you can read Lito's parts, please.
I didn't do anything. I wasn't there. Stop texting anyone. Stop answering.
Now I'm going to show you States 98, which is a continuation of the text messaging. Can you see that clearly on your end?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to read your parts. Lito, everyone knows who you are. Everyone knows you're my boyfriend. And what has Lito said?
I know.
And you say, Lito, everyone's texting me. What does he say?
Stop answering what happened.
And you say, don't talk to me. And what does he say?
Okay, stop answering anyone.
And then you say, you fucked up, Lito. And what does he say?
How? I wasn't there.
And then you say, if my parents find out. Showing you States 99. Can you see that clearly?
Yep.
Stop saying that, you said. And then what do you say?
Okay, stop texting, please, Kens.
And then you say, I'm not texting anyone. And then what does Lito say?
Don't text me. I'm going to Florida.
And then you say, they're texting me. When? Lito, I need you to answer me, please. And what does he say?
What, Kens?
And then you say, I'm so scared. What's going on? Showing you States 100. In the blue, you say, I'm shaking. Can you please tell me? I won't tell anyone. I swear. And what do you say?
I can't text anything.
And then you say, I'm so scared. And then what does he say?
I wasn't there.
And you say, what's happening? And then what does Lito say?
You know I wasn't there.
And you say, I'm so scared, Lito. What's happening? Please answer me. And then you say,
Nothing is happening.
withdrawn. Lito says.
Nothing is happening.
And then finally, States 101.
Nothing is happening.
And then you say, can you call me please when I get home? And he says,
Yes.
and then you say, Lito, his sister just texted me. I'm so scared. I don't want to look. And you said,
What did she?
Lito says,
What did she say? Swipe it.
and then you say, IDK, I don't know. I'm so scared. And Lito says,
Don't answer anyone.
now, McKenzie, prior to you text messaging Lito, did he ever mention anything about going to Florida before you went to the party at Laurel Glen or anything at all? Going to Florida on vacation or going to Florida the next day?
No.
So the first time you heard about him going to Florida was in these text messages.
Yes.
After this text message conversation with Lito, did you have any other communication with him?
As I was still in the car, I called him. He answered, and for about less than 2 minutes, I continued to ask him what was going on. I'm hearing all these things. What's happening? What's going on?
What was his response?
He said, I wasn't there. I didn't do anything. What are you talking about?
So he kept denying that he was there, kept denying that he did anything.
Yes.
And this phone call was before or after you arrived at your house?
It might have been, I was still sitting in the car in the driveway.
And for how long did it last for?
It was under 2 minutes, and I remember hearing voices in the background.
You were hearing voices in the background. Did you recognize those voices?
No.
McKenzie, when was the last time you saw Lito prior to today?
That night.
Now, after the text messages with Lito and also the brief conversation you had, did you realize at that point the severity of what occurred at 43 Laurel Glen?
I was in shock, but I also didn't fully believe that something bad had happened. I now at this point was thinking to myself there must have been a fight between boys, like a fist fight, and maybe a bunch of kids got kind of beat up or black eyes and stuff. I didn't even think that anything else could have happened.
Kenzie, I'm going to show you a photograph which has been marked as States 57. Kenzie, do you recognize who this person is in this photograph?
Yes.
And who is that person?
Jimmy McGrath.
And are you familiar with Jimmy?
I grew up with Jimmy.
And at what point, McKenzie, did you learn about what happened that night to Jimmy?
When I had gotten home, I went to bed. I figured I'd wake up in the morning and it would have died down, or, you know, if there was a fight, something would have died down. And I was woken up in the middle of the night. The police wanted to come question me. So I went downstairs to my kitchen table with my sister. And I remember my parents went to the door to open it up for the police, and I just remember my mom screaming. And then at this point, I was like, what's going on? Something seriously bad must have happened. Still, I didn't know the extent to what had happened. So they sat down. They just asked me about my day, like you're doing, about my night. And when they had left, my parents had told me that Jimmy had passed.
And what was your reaction, McKenzie?
That was the worst news, the worst night of my life. I fell to the floor. My entire family fell to the floor. And it was just the worst news I've ever received.
I just may have one moment, Your Honor. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Traficanti.
Good afternoon.
We've never met before, correct?
Yes.
Sorry, when I ask a question, you just have to make sure you answer out loud so that the court reporter can catch it, okay?
Okay.
And we got to compete also with this fan up here that's going, all right?
Okay.
So you told us that in May of 2022, at that point, you'd been dating Mr. Valle for about 3 months?
Yes.
And you were a senior at that point, fixing to graduate, and he was a junior about to go into his senior year, right?
Yes.
And you told us as well that you had grown up and gone to Shelton schools, right?
Yes.
And then you went to St. Joseph's High School in Trumbull after you'd gone through the Shelton school system prior to that, right?
Yes.
And that you'd grown up with Tyler Rich.
Yes.
And I'm just going to go through a list of names and see if you know these folks, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know a Jacob Villalobos?
Yes.
How did you know him?
He was in all of my classes, middle school, intermediate school. We went to elementary school together. He was my good friend.
Okay. Did you know a Michael Samperi?
I believe he was maybe a grade or two below me. I knew of him. I've probably hung out with him a couple times in group settings.
Okay. Did you know a Sal Perry?
Yes.
How did you know him?
I also grew up with him. I've been to his house many times. He was another one of my really good friends growing up.
Did you know an Alex Bernson?
I don't know who that is.
Did you know a Matthew Lokovich?
Yes.
How did you know him?
Once again, family friends. Grew up with him. I think we dated in 6th grade.
Okay. Did you know Ty Wood?
Yes.
How did you know him?
He was a grade or two below me, and just from being from Shelton, he's been at parties that I've been at and stuff like that.
Did you know Ryan Hines?
No.
Did you know Thomas Connery?
Yes.
How did you know him?
He was in my sister's grade and in my sister's fun group when she was also growing up.
And did you know his brother Charles Connery?
Yes.
And how did you know him?
He was Tommy's younger brother. He wasn't in my grade, but I just knew his name. I've probably seen him out multiple times as well.
Did you know a person named Tanner Chernowski?
Yes.
How did you know Tanner?
He was also from Shelton. He hung out with a lot of my guy friends from Shelton.
And you would consider yourself to be good friends with those people?
At the time, yes.
And you told us that you at some point received a call from, was it Rosie McGrath?
I received a call from my high school friend group. Rosie had Snapchatted me.
Okay. And that was Jimmy McGrath's sister.
Yes.
So you knew her the same way that you knew Jimmy from growing up?
She was one of my good friends growing up as well, yeah.
And do you still remain in contact with all those folks?
No.
None of them?
Mm-mm.
When was the last time you talked with Jack Snyder?
I may have seen him around slightly in the last couple of years. When we went out in New Haven, I would see his face, but we don't keep in contact, no.
And you told us that you also knew Tyler Rich.
Yes.
And that was because, again, you'd grown up with Tyler Rich?
Yes.
And were your families also friends?
Our parents probably knew each other.
And you told us about starting the night off. Well, before starting the night off, you were telling the state's attorney about the night before this had been the prom, right?
Yes.
And you'd gone to that prom with Mr. Valle?
Yes.
And your parents didn't want you to go to the prom house that was in upstate New York, right?
Yes.
And so you spent the next day going to the beach with Mr. Valle, right?
Yes.
Where was that?
Milford?
And you went to the beach, you said, for a few hours, and then you went back to Mr. Valle's house, right?
Yes.
And following that, you got a ride from Jack Snyder and Tyler Dilva over to 5 Lazy Brook.
Yes.
And that was Madigan Leifer's house, right?
Yes.
She's the older sister of Austin.
Yeah.
And you knew Madigan through lacrosse, right?
Yes.
Did you say that your father was a lacrosse coach for Madigan?
He was a lacrosse coach for my entire grade, so a bunch of girls, including Rosie, was on the team.
And this was a girls' lacrosse party, correct?
The party was not a girls' lacrosse party, I don't believe.
Did you see a lot of members of the girls' lacrosse team there?
Some members who were juniors and a couple members who were seniors.
Was Madigan a junior or a senior?
A senior.
Did you know an Emily Robinson?
No.
If I asked you this already, I apologize. Did you know Ryan Hines?
No, I did not.
But you did tell us that you knew Faison Teal, right?
Yes.
And you didn't see any sort of a fight at 5 Lazy Brook, right?
I didn't know.
But you saw that picture before of what you identified as Mr. Snyder and Mr. Valle, right?
Yes.
But you don't know when that picture was taken. Is that fair to say?
I did know when it was taken.
You do know when it was taken?
Yes.
How do you know when it was taken?
I remember the boys coming back from the garage, and that's when they looked like they were dressed up like that, and I remember that picture being taken.
Well, you remember telling us before that you weren't watching Mr. Valle throughout the night?
No, I wasn't.
But now you're telling us that you're sure that you know when that photo was taken?
Yes.
You at least know that you saw them wearing those outfits throughout the night, right?
Yes.
When did you see Mr. Valle put the neck pillow on?
I don't remember him putting it on. I just remember seeing him with it on.
Oh, okay. When did you see Mr. Valle put the helmet on?
I don't remember when he put it on.
Okay. And at some point, Mrs. Leifer comes and breaks up the party, right?
Yes.
And tells everybody, time to go clear out, and you guys all leave the party?
Yes.
Go get into Mr. Snyder's car.
Yep.
And that was the 7 of you that you've described to us, correct?
Yes.
And at that point, the plan for the night had been to go to the Leifer's house, but now it changed because that party was over, right?
Yes.
And there was no plan at that point to go anywhere specific. Is that fair?
Seemed like there was a plan to go to Trumbull High School.
Okay. At some point, you became aware that folks were planning to go there, but when the party broke up, that had not been the plan already, right?
No.
That was sort of an impromptu, what are we going to do now kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay. And then you got over to Trumbull High School, and you said that there were maybe 40 or so people that had been over at 5 Lazy Brook, right?
Yes.
Those 40 people didn't all go to Trumbull High School, right?
Not all of them, but there was a good amount of people at Trumbull High School.
Okay. More than 2 cars?
Yes.
And you said there were tons of underclassmen at the party, right?
Yes.
You told us that
At the Lazy Brook party?
at the Lazy Brook party.
Yes.
And you told us you remembered one of them was Sydney.
Yes.
How did you know Sydney?
She was just a friend of mine. She was a senior as well.
Okay. Was that Sydney Wims?
Yes.
And once you got to Trumbull High School, you said on the way to Trumbull High School, 4 of you squeezed into the back seat of the car, right?
Yes.
And Jack was driving and Tyler was in the passenger seat in the front.
Yep.
And you told us that you had lapped up in the back, meaning you were sitting in Mr. Valley's lap.
I believe so.
And then at some point, the decision was made to leave from Trumbull High School, right?
Yes.
And you thought they were going to take you home
Yep.
because there was no plan at that point to go anywhere else, right?
Yes.
At that point, you guys had had the party at 5 Lazy Brook, which was really the plan for the night, and that had ended, right?
Yep.
And then you went to Trumbull High School thinking, well, maybe the party can be extended, I think you said.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately that fizzled out too, right? And you think it was just about 25 minutes that you spent there at Trumbull High School?
Yes.
And the vibe on the way there was light and there was music playing.
Yep.
And you described later on in the evening when you're driving in your sister's car that the music was playing loudly, right?
Yeah.
Was the music also playing loudly in the car on the way there?
Yes.
So no matter whose car you were in, it sounds like the music is being played loudly. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Not worried about your hearing.
Sorry, say that again?
At this age, you're not worried about your
No,
hearing.
I'm not.
And then while you're sitting in the second row after getting back into the car to leave Trumbull High School, it's the 4 of you squeezed in again, right?
Yes.
And you're sitting back in Raul's lap?
Yep.
And there's one person who's in the trunk area, right? And that's Demetrius?
I wasn't sure who was in the trunk out of the boys.
Okay. But somebody was back there?
Yes.
Wasn't really room for much more than one person back there, right?
Yes.
And then you realized as you passed by the reservoir that you were not going to your home. Is that fair to say?
We were headed in the direction of the reservoir, and I guess before you pass it, you have an option to turn left into Isinglass.
That's what you were expecting, is that you were going to turn there and that would keep you going in the direction towards your home?
Driving by the reservoir would have taken me more towards my home. So when we turned, I realized we were not going back to my house.
Because to that point, there had been no discussion of going anywhere else. Is that fair?
Yes.
And then you changed routes, and you said that the vibe in the car had changed. Do you remember telling us that?
Yes.
And you said it seemed like the boys were set on going to Tyler Rich's house.
Yes.
Did you know at that point that you were going to Tyler Rich's house?
They had made me aware, I guess. They had stated that they were headed over there.
They knew that that was Tyler Rich's house?
They must have known.
They said, we're going to Tyler Rich's house?
Yes.
To your knowledge, did Mr. Valley know Tyler Rich?
To my,
To her knowledge, I'll allow it.
to my knowledge, no.
Mr. Valley did not go to Shelton schools and grow up with these same kids that you've described?
No.
But you yourself said you'd grown up with Tyler Rich and you'd been to his house a ton of times, right?
Yes.
Did you start to recognize that you were on your way to Tyler Rich's house while the ride was occurring?
I'm not great with back roads, but I believe we were headed in the direction of that area in town.
And you said the 2 boys in the front made it known that we were going to Tyler Rich's house.
Yes.
That was Jack Snyder and Tyler DeSilva, right?
Yes.
You were still sitting in Mr. Valley's lap.
Yes, and I had then after moved to the back.
But at this point, while you're going there, you're still sitting in Mr. Valley's lap.
Yes.
He didn't make it known to you that you were going to Tyler Rich's house, did he?
No.
And you said you objected multiple times that you didn't want to go to Tyler Rich's house.
Yes.
Because you knew all these kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd grown up with these kids, right?
Yeah.
You didn't want to have a confrontation with these kids.
Yes.
And you were upset that Mr. Valley didn't object or stand up for you, right?
Yes.
And you said Jack Snyder and Tyler Dilva in the front were pushing for it and that Jack Snyder was adamant about going, right?
Just both of them, not one over the other, but yeah, they were adamant about going.
Both Jack Snyder and Tyler Dilva.
Yes.
And so you contacted your sister, Madison, right?
Yes.
And you started to make plans. Hey, can you come pick me up? I don't want to be here.
Yes.
Did she acknowledge that and say, okay, I'll be right there?
She acknowledged it, yes.
And shortly thereafter, you arrived at what you recognized at that point as being Tyler Rich's house?
Yes.
Because you'd been there a number of times before.
Yep.
And when you got there, was there anyone in the front yard?
I think I probably saw briefly a group forming in the front yard until I ducked down in the back.
Okay. And you said you had to climb over the back seat to get into the trunk area.
Yes.
Did Demetrius make room for you back there?
Yes.
He was still back there?
If it was Demetrius who was back there, then yes. The one person who was also in the back made room for me.
Okay, so at this point, there's two of you in the back trunk area.
Now there is, yes.
And you climbed back there because you were scared of what was about to happen. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Because people started to pour out of the house, right?
Yes.
It wasn't just that you were embarrassed, like, oh man, I don't want these people to see me here. They know me. It wasn't that, right?
I was embarrassed. I did not want to be seen.
But it wasn't just that you were embarrassed. Is that fair to say?
I guess.
You
Yes.
started to fear what might occur. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Because these people were pouring out of the house and there were more and more of them coming, right?
Didn't seem like there was like more and more coming. It seemed like people were kind of outside already.
Okay. How many people did it seem like were there?
25 kids, maybe?
Okay. But they weren't 25 kids when you pulled up, right?
I'm not sure. I didn't have a good view from my back seat, so.
Okay. And these 25 kids, they didn't just stay in the driveway, did they?
They were crowding around the car.
They surrounded the vehicle, right?
Yes.
Started pounding on the vehicle.
There were noises. I don't know if it was pounding, if people were throwing things at the vehicle, but
You couldn't see what was happening because you were ducked down in the back?
yes.
Ducked down with your head tucked so that you weren't looking at anything out the windows?
I was in a position where if I wanted to, I could probably pop up. That's when I saw Faison and said hi to him.
And when you said hi to him, did you think, okay, everything's going to be okay now?
It seemed like a friendly encounter between the two of us.
Did it stay a friendly encounter between the vehicle and the people outside it?
I really noticed that near the front of the vehicle, there was some confrontation going on between whoever was on the outside of the window and Jack Snyder.
So it didn't remain a peaceful encounter between the people inside the vehicle and the people outside the vehicle. Is that fair?
Yes.
And could you, when you would pop your head up, could you see people surrounding the car?
Yes.
Was Mr. Valley still seated in front of you now in the rear seat where he had been, where you'd previously been in his lap?
I believe so.
And was his window down?
Yes.
Was he screaming things out that window?
I don't remember.
Was Tyler Dilva screaming things in the front?
I think there was noise coming from some of the boys in the car who were in the first row and the second row. It was kind of combined noise from all of them.
When people surrounded the vehicle, did you become more scared?
Yes.
Why?
Because I couldn't see very well, but as the only girl in this entire environment, this is not a place that I wanted to be, surrounded by a bunch of football boys who are big and scary.
Could you see their faces?
No.
Did you feel the car rocking or shaking?
At one point, I just maybe, whether it was rocking or things being thrown at the car, I definitely felt it felt chaotic.
Did you want to get out of the car?
Yes.
Did you want to get out of the car right there where it was?
I was planning on getting out of the car as soon as we drove away.
You were planning on getting out of the car as soon as it was safe. Is that fair?
Yes.
Didn't seem safe to you to get out of the car right there where it was. Is that fair?
Yes.
And you said somebody approached Jack Snyder's window and there was some kind of a confrontation, right?
Yes.
Did you hear glass shatter at any point?
I heard a lot of commotion. I couldn't identify exactly what the commotion was coming from.
But you do remember banging on the car, right?
Yes.
And now you're laying down in the trunk, you told us, right?
I was crouched down. I might have been on sitting crouched. I'm not exactly sure which way I was crouched, but I definitely was crouched.
Because at this point, you're terrified about what's happening, right?
I was scared, yes.
Were you worried that someone was going to break a window out?
I was worried if we hadn't gotten out of there soon enough, it was going to escalate, and I didn't want to be in the car when that happened.
That it was going to escalate, and what would happen?
Boys would start fighting in front of me.
Were you worried you might be dragged out of the car?
No.
And you said this lasted a couple of minutes at the most?
Yes.
And you said there was a little chaos going on, right?
Yes.
It was more than a little chaos, wasn't it?
It was loud. There was a lot of people, a lot of boys. It was definitely scary.
You said these were all big football guys, right?
Yes.
And it was a little scary?
I was scared at the moment, but I also didn't think that I was going to get hurt. I didn't think anyone was going to hurt me.
Had you ever been as scared as that in your life?
No. Sorry, I take that back. I wasn't like super scared just because I felt like I was safe in the backseat.
You felt safe in the backseat?
Yeah, for the time being, I wasn't interacting with anyone outside.
And then at some point, the car drives off, gets out of this being surrounded situation. Is that fair?
Yes.
Did you feel relief?
Yes.
Great relief?
Yes.
Had you ever felt relief like that in your life?
I'm not sure.
And you don't remember the car driving up and down, back and forth on Laurel Glen Drive, right?
No, I just remember immediately getting out and walking to the end of the road.
And you don't remember people in the vehicle throwing things out the window, is that fair?
Yes.
And the car stops, and we saw that on Exhibit 44, right?
Yes.
And we saw you get out and walk down to the end of the street and sit on the curb.
Mm-hmm.
And then you identified you identified Tyler and DeSilva, that is, and Mr. Valle as also being out of the car, correct?
Yes.
Did you remember that a group of the Shelton High kids came down the street?
I didn't remember anyone specifically. I didn't remember seeing anyone's faces.
After you watched Exhibit 44, did that refresh your recollection of what occurred that night?
I remember maybe commotion around me. I was sitting on the curb on the phone, and I wasn't involved in the commotion, so I didn't see anyone specifically coming up to us, no.
Fair to say your attention was hyper-focused on trying to get your sister there as quickly as possible?
Yes.
Main thing on your mind was you wanted to get out of there as badly as possible?
Yes.
Because you were scared of being there any longer, right?
Yep.
And you said you were very upset and angry, right?
Yeah.
And you told the state's attorney you don't recall crying?
I don't remember for sure, but I cry a lot, so I mean, it could have happened.
Okay. And again, you were angry in part because you felt like Raul hadn't stood up for you when you had objected to coming here in the first place, right?
It wasn't just about him. I was just angry at everyone in the car who decided to go there.
Okay, but your anger, you told us before, as far as it was directed at Raul, was because he hadn't stood up for you when you'd objected and said, I don't want to go here. Do you
That
recall
was one of the reasons I was angry, yes.
You were also angry with Jack Snyder and Tyler Dilva for having driven you over there, right?
Yes.
When you were in that car and it was surrounded by all those folks, was there any way for you to make that car go anywhere?
No.
Did it seem safe for you to stay there where that car was?
No.
Did the folks on the outside of that car, did you feel like it was going to stop them, just the vehicle itself?
Say that again?
Sure. As they're attacking the car, did you think, we're safe, we're fine, these guys will stop?
No, I wanted to get out of there.
Did you see Tyler Rich at any point when the car was surrounded?
I think I might have seen his face. If I saw a couple faces, it would probably be him and Faison.
Did you have any interactions with Tyler Rich?
No.
And once that car stopped, you said you crawled over the seat, right? To get out of the trunk area, right? I'm sorry, you have to say
Yes, sorry.
It's okay. And that's when we saw you walking down the street.
Yes.
Sat on the curb, called your sister Madison to make sure she was on her way.
Yes.
And then, again, you said you were slumped over in a little bubble, just texting your sister, right?
Yes.
Trying as much as possible to keep things together for yourself?
What do you mean keep things together?
To keep from panicking?
I was trying to get out there as soon as possible.
Okay, was some panic starting to set in? Did you feel panicked?
Yes.
Did you feel some anxiety?
I was mainly just angry.
Mainly just angry. And you said you don't remember any talk about a knife when you were in the car, right?
No.
You didn't see a knife when you were in the car.
No.
You said you weren't sure who, but you think you heard some talk about a knife.
I don't know if it was coming out of the car or when everybody had crowded around the curb. I remember hearing something about a knife.
Was it Jack Snyder's voice?
I don't recall if it was him.
You don't recall if it was Raul's voice?
No.
You don't recall if it was Tyler Dilva's voice?
No. It was kind of a conversation that I was overhearing from. I wasn't directly in that conversation.
When you recall this conversation happening, how far away do you think you were from where it was occurring?
Probably a couple feet. I was sitting on my own on the curb, but it could have been a couple feet away.
Do you recall seeing any of the boys from your group around the car, inspecting the car for damage?
No.
And you said when you think you heard this talk about the knife, you overlooked it and didn't think anything of it?
Yes.
You didn't hear anybody from your group making any threats about going back to the party to kill somebody?
No.
You didn't hear your party, anybody from your group making any threats at all?
No.
And you offered all of these boys a ride home,
Yes.
except for Jack Snyder, right?
Yes.
Because Jack Snyder was the one driving the car, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, Did you see Jack Snyder drive the vehicle off and it left your field of vision?
I just from the video that I was shown, I saw that his car was driving. Maybe I don't remember his car driving off.
So was there a time when you were on the curb with the other people that had gotten out of the car and Jack Snyder wasn't there because he had driven off?
I wasn't sure about his whereabouts.
Okay. And you offered them a ride home with your sister?
Yes.
She wasn't there at that point, right?
No.
You couldn't see her anywhere?
No.
And you said that things were getting hyped up a little bit at that point.
So the kids that agreed to get into the car and I would give them a ride home, they were just sitting on the curb with me. I would say only Tyler and Lito seemed like they were getting hyped up.
When you say getting hyped up a little bit, what were they doing?
They were just loud. I asked them multiple times, "Hey, let me give you guys a ride home. Let's go home." And they were refusing multiple times. They just seemed adrenaline.
Okay. And where was Jack Snyder in the car at that point?
I'm not sure. Maybe behind us. I'm not sure where he was.
Could you see it anywhere?
No.
At some point, you became aware that the car had come back from wherever it had gone, that you didn't see it, right?
I honestly wasn't paying attention to his car. I don't know where his car was at that moment.
Okay. Did you see Mr. Valle and Mr. De Silva get back into Jack Snyder's vehicle?
I don't remember. I didn't know if they were on foot or if they had driven the car back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't see them get back into the vehicle?
Yeah, I don't remember seeing them.
And you're still sitting on the curb at that point?
Yes.
And you said you could tell there were 50 guys and it was scary and nothing good was going to happen.
Yes.
And those 50 guys, as you've described them, that would be the Shelton kids, right?
Yes.
Because there were only 7 of you in that vehicle, correct?
Yes.
And then as you're down there on the curb with Keenan Frasick, Dimitri Arofanis, and Will Sinjwald, you told us you heard noise from 43 Laurel Glen Drive, right?
Yes.
But you couldn't see anything, right?
No.
Because you were that far away?
Yes.
So you never saw a large crowd of people fighting in the yard of 43 Laurel Glen Drive?
No.
But while that's going on, and you can't see anything, but you can hear it, you're still on the curb waiting for your sister to come.
Yes, at the other end of the street.
Are you getting panicked at that point about when is she coming? Is she coming?
No, I think I had her location, and I thought she was like a minute away, 2 minutes away.
Oh, okay. You could see on your phone where her location was.
Yeah, if I didn't have her location at that point, I had just asked her, texted her where she was.
And she was also familiar with this area from the same way that you were because families had grown up and that sort of thing?
Yes.
And when she pulled up, you still could not see Mr. Snyder, Mr. De Silva, or Mr. Valle, right?
I didn't see them like face to face, no.
And you got into the car in the front passenger seat.
Yes.
Your sister drives or at that time drove a Volkswagen?
Yes.
And Mr. Frasick, Mr. Arfanis, they get into the back seat, right?
Yes.
You said Mr. Sinjwald, he was waiting to see if his girlfriend was going to come pick him up.
Yep.
So you guys are kind of sitting there waiting for that to resolve itself as far as Mr. Sinjwald's ride.
Yes.
When you see the pilot pull back up, is that right?
Yes.
And Mr. Valle got out and you said he came up to your window?
I didn't, by the way, see the pilot drive up.
Okay.
I saw Lito somehow appear next to passenger side window.
Okay, so you didn't see the pilot. You just saw Mr. Valle appear there to the side.
The pilot was in front of me. I didn't see it like come back towards me or anything like that.
Okay. And he asked, Maddie, can I get a ride home?
Yes.
And then you said he got into the back seat, right?
Yes.
How quick was that interaction?
Literally just, hey, can I have a ride home? And he got right back in the back seat.
And then he was sitting in the back seat behind you.
Yes.
You were pissed off at him.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Had you ever been that angry in your life?
I was pretty angry. I've been angry before.
Okay, fair enough. You were at least so angry that you didn't want to talk to Mr. Valle. Is that fair?
Yes.
You didn't want to look at Mr. Valle. Is that fair?
Yes.
And so you didn't look at Mr. Valle.
Correct.
So you didn't have anything more than this quick interaction with him at the window in order to observe him at all. Is that fair?
Yes.
So you couldn't see whether or not he was injured.
Correct.
And on the ride, you said the music was up, playing loudly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, to be young. And you're driving, music playing loudly, and there's no talking going on in the car. Is that right?
Yes.
You're not talking to Maddie at all in the front?
No.
But you don't hear anything that's being discussed in the seat behind you. Is that fair?
Yes.
And then Maddie takes and drops off Keenan and Demetrius together in Trumbull.
Yes.
How long did that take to get there?
5 minutes.
That was close.
Yes.
And then you went to take Mr. Valle home, right?
Yes.
15 minutes max to get from Trumbull to Milford.
Mm-hmm.
No talking.
No.
You're still angry.
Yes.
You got there, dropped him off. You still didn't want to talk to him.
Yes.
You say he asked you to step out. You just ignored that and left, right?
Correct.
And then you said texts start up, rumors are going around, talk of a stabbing in a group FaceTime call, right?
Correct.
A lot of confusion.
Yes.
And then now as you're riding home to your house from Mr. Valle's, you started to text with Mr. Valle.
Yes.
And we saw those texts in Exhibits 97 through 101, right?
Yeah.
And those are coming pretty fast and furious, right?
Yes.
You're texting one after another. He starts responding back, right?
Yes.
You were scared.
Yes.
You said something about if my parents find out. You were panicking at that point, right?
Yes.
And did it seem to you from the demeanor of those texts with Mr. Valle that he was panicking as well?
Objection, Your Honor. How would you know?
It's asking about how it appeared. Did it seem? I'll allow it. Overruled. You can answer.
He was answering very weirdly. I didn't know what he was saying.
It was not the way you normally talked with him, was it?
No.
And the answers didn't make any sense to you, did they?
No.
You'd been there with him, right?
Yes.
And we talked before about whether or not you have a nickname. Do people sometimes call you Kens or Kenzie?
Yes.
And we see that in some of these, right? He's saying, please, Kens, right?
Yes.
And you're pleading with him to tell you what's going on, right?
Yes.
And this is all just on the ride back from dropping him off to your house, right?
Yes.
And that takes 15 minutes
Yeah.
at the most?
Probably when I make a trip to Milford, I would say like 18 minutes.
Okay. And so, but this didn't start immediately once you got into the car. You didn't start immediately texting with him, right?
No, I had that group FaceTime call. I had received texts, and then that's when I had initiated the texting.
So how long do you think it took for all of those texts to go back and forth?
10 minutes, maybe, max.
Max, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because these are going back and forth, back and forth. You're peppering him with questions. He's giving you responses that don't make any sense to you.
Yes.
And that's not the way Mr. Valle normally would text with you, was it?
No.
And you said, so scared, what's going on? I won't tell anyone, I swear, right?
Yes.
And you said that when you'd been together earlier in the day, he hadn't mentioned anything about going to Florida.
No.
Were you aware that there was a plan for the family to go to Florida?
No.
And you called him, you said, and he answered and talked to you for 2 minutes?
Yes.
And his demeanor when you were talking to him, did he seem panicked?
He kept saying, nothing's going on, nothing's happening. Stop panicking, nothing's happening.
Did that seem scared to you?
That was very weird. I didn't know what was going on.
Didn't make any sense to you, did it?
No, it didn't.
He was telling you, I wasn't there, right?
Yes.
That didn't make any sense to you, did it?
No.
You kept telling him that he was, right?
Yes.
And that was the last time that you saw Mr. Valle?
Yeah, that's the last time we saw each other.
And you told us that was the worst night of your life, right?
Yes.
Officers came to talk to you that early that same, or like early the next morning,
Yes.
before the sun was up.
Yep.
And you told them everything that you knew about it, right?
Yep.
Thank you.
Any redirect?
No redirect, Your Honor.
Um, okay, can we sidebar for a moment, please? Thank you. Minute afternoon recess. We'll be back in 15. Thank you. Court stands in recess.
All rise, court's in recess. Gather your belongings, exit the courtroom.